Hi, my name's Jackie and I'm the founder of the Postpartum Depression Recovery Program. Today I just wanted to have a little chat with you about the real cause of postpartum depression. Now we all know that the physical cause of depression is the chemical imbalance in the brain. But my question to you is, how did that chemical imbalance suddenly occur? How come all of a sudden your brain happened to malfunction in order to have this imbalance occur? Now what I teach is that often associated with this chemical imbalance is a whole list of events that could be going on in your life. So for example, it could be the fact that you had an unplanned cesarean, perhaps your child is having difficulty sleeping, or you're having difficulty breastfeeding, perhaps you feel like you've lost your identity, or you're not enjoying motherhood as well as much as you thought you would. You could be having relationship problems or perhaps money problems. Any of these things seem to be associated with having postpartum depression specifically. However, what I actually teach mums is that if it were these events causing depression, then everybody who experienced those events in their life would actually experience depression too. However, we know this isn't the case. So the real reason why your postpartum depression has occurred is because of how you have perceived those situations. How you presently perceive life is what lies underneath this chemical imbalance. Let me give you a little analogy to explain. If a spider was to crawl down the wall and land on your shoulder, what would your reaction be? Now most people's reaction would be to scream and run, and they would feel that very physical feeling of fear in the body. Now that feeling of fear was caused by the chemical of adrenaline. Was the chemical adrenaline released because of the spider, or was it because of how you perceived that spider? Because we have these ideas or these beliefs about what spiders mean to us. Spiders are scary, spiders could bite us, that sort of thing. If you apply that analogy to postpartum depression, it's not the events that are occurring in your life, it's how you perceive those events. And how you perceive those events were set up when you were just a child yourself. If you think about it, when you were a baby, you came into this world with very limited information, and you started to learn how to understand and comprehend what's going on around you from the environment that you lived in. So over and over again, you were fed specific information that went on to become your belief system. So you learnt this from parents, from other family members, your siblings, religion, society, media, education. So primarily during the age of 0 to 7, this is where your fundamental belief systems occur. And what can happen is you travel through life, viewing life through these same perceptions. So this is often why you spend loads of time going over and over your story with counsellors and psychologists. However, what I teach mums through my postpartum depression program is how to change that specific thinking that underlies your postpartum depression. So just moving on from that 0 to 7 part where you've created this belief system and you're now seeing life through the lens of this belief system, what gets set up is a specific structure of how you think. So you start to learn the right way to live, and you start to learn how to be a successful person or a happy person or a valuable person. And you start to attach that self-worth component, that value, that how to be a success, you start to attach that to how your life unfolds. Through this lens of the right life, you start to try and validate your worth. So let's say, for example, you experience the perfect upbringing where you had the happy parents and you had a really caring, loving mother. You may grow up to decide that to believe that that's the right way to be, so that when you become a mum yourself and you find that it's not the way that you actually are, you may start to feel like you're a failure. And that is the main principle behind postpartum depression is you feeling like you're a failure. And that's only because of how you're perceiving life, not because you're actually a failure. So another example can be, let's say you didn't have the happy childhood. Perhaps you had somebody who was quite cruel to you, or put you down, or installed very, very little self-worth in you and made you feel like you were useless or stupid or dumb or, you know, unattractive or unpopular, or any of those things that have come from your experience. You now perceive life this way. You now walk around through your life and search for evidence of you being those very labels that were given to you as a child. And that's what's causing you to feel worthless, that incorrect perception of life and self-worth. So what I teach people in my program is how to identify your specific thinking that's causing your depression and how you can change that. Now, I'm often asked, when does postpartum depression become just depression? And I say, it doesn't matter, because the thinking behind depression, full stop, is exactly the same. The difference is between postpartum depression and normal depression is only because you have depression in a specific area of your life. So postpartum depression is in the area of motherhood. So you may be struggling with the transition of motherhood. You may have attached your self-worth to the way you were before you were a parent. So you could have felt validated and worthy because you had, you know, a great job. Maybe people felt like you were really smart in that area and that they would give you lots of compliments, or you felt like you were good at what you did. So you became defined by that, because all stress comes down to self-worth. There's always a self-worth component in all stress, depression or anxiety. It's just that in depression it goes past feeling worth less and feeling like your whole life is a failure, or you as a person is a complete failure. And this is all the incorrect perceptions of life that are causing you stress. It's never the events that cause stress. It doesn't matter what's going on in your life. If you're perceiving life through this lens of incorrect thinking, then you will forever experience depression. Now, some people can go in and out of depression their whole life. And why does this occur? Because the events change. Sometimes it's not that the belief system changed, it's just that the events have changed that are triggering these beliefs. So you might actually get life to go to plan. So when life's going right, nobody ever feels stressed, do they? But when life's going wrong, those incorrect perceptions of life kick in. This means I'm useless. This means I'm hopeless. This means I'm a failure. Because I wasn't able to do X, that means Y about my life. That perception right there is what's actually causing your stress, and that perception is what needs to change. That's why people can sometimes experience postpartum depression and then eventually it goes away. And you know, and that's why people can get depression in and out of their lives their whole time. So in my program too, I don't spend a lot of time rolling around in the mud. There is absolutely no value, well, I won't say no value, there's little value in your recovery to spend your time rolling around in what's happened in your past, because you don't get clean from rolling in the mud. That's my saying. It's not that you're dirty now, it's that your mindset is unclear. It's not accurate right now. And so you need to keep repetitively feeding yourself new information, just like it happened when you were a child. You were fed new information that became your current mindset. In order to change that mindset, you need to feed yourself new information. It's not that you're stupid or useless or worthless because you feel the way you are or you're thinking the way you are. You don't know any different, because this is what's been set up way back when you were so naive and you didn't know any different. Now you need to learn something different. You're an adult now. You can perceive life differently. Perhaps you just need an education as to how you can think differently and perceive life in a more accurate way. And that's what I teach people using my 5-step mind track to happiness process. That is 5 simple steps that you can remember right in the heat of the moment, whether it's a simple issue that you're having or a more complex issue like a relationship or money problem. So at the end of the day, what I want to do is I want to empower you to be able to change the way you think. I want you to be able to help yourself not have to rely on seeing a therapist every single week to give you the answers you need to recover. You have the power. Your brain is so powerful at being able to change how you feel about your life. I've been through what you're going through right now. I've had postnatal depression, or postpartum depression as some people call it. I have been through the ringer of feeling like a failure and hating motherhood and loving motherhood and feeling guilty and getting angry at my kids and seeing the effect that has on them. And I've learnt how to move out of it. And now I want to teach you. So that's what my postpartum depression program is about, and I hope that I have answered a few regular questions that I get about what the cause of postpartum depression is and the difference between postpartum depression and normal depression. So if you would like more information about my postpartum depression recovery program, please head over to www.postpartumdepressionrecovery.com. Thank you.